Hey, Shalom, Shalom. I want to start off souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Makar, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS and honors to you brothers doing the work in truth and sincerity. This is a quick one I'm gonna hit you with. I was watching the apostle Gabars doing a video on how basically this man's, preparing to be coming for Jake, right? With all this medical martial law, etc., etc. And the spirit, I was just thinking of that saying, right? It's down here, right? I suppose it is tempting if the only tool you have is a hammer to treat everything as if it were a nail, right? Now, this is referred to as the law of the instrument, right? Also known as law of the hammer, Maslow's hammer, which he's a psychologist. It's where you get the Maslow's hierarchy of need. I think it's love. I think it's Polish. Don't quote me on that though. Right, or the golden hammer, right? It says there's a cognitive bias that involves an over-reliance on a familiar tool. Right, now when you got the man Esau, what's his tool? His tool is the sword, right? For instance, you had people talking about all of those Americans that will go into to the gun stores trying to buy guns, and when the lockdowns are basically being said, probably going to enter a lockdown, and people are saying you can't shoot a virus, right? Even though you got army deployed and whatever, and you can be like, oh yeah, they're there for what do you call it, to help build and to move for logistical reasons, blah 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 blah. Right, but at the end of the day, these are armed, they're called the armed forces, and they're now basically freely roaming the streets with a pretense, right? And that's the thing with this man, because the thing is, if there's an uprising, they're already there. If people start getting annoyed, they're already there, right? You keep people locked indoors more or less for a long period of time, people start going crazy, man, right? For instance, you need your your vitamins. You go outside, get the vitamin D. You need the exercise, or otherwise idle hands, right? And demons start fucking with you, man, right? But so that's why them guys ultimately are there, right? They're, what you call it, government issues. So they can do whatever the government wants, right? Ask them, go build that hospital, but also look, man, there's a uprising, go squash it, man, right? And this man he's basically showing just how crafty he is, all the different things that he's been pushing, all the different things that he's been ticking off of this one a bullshit event, showing you that this man is actually, as you start with the apostles on down and read what the scriptures say, the devil, right? So yeah, that's the background behind that term, right? So Abraham Maslow, I'll read this one. Maslow's hammer, popularly phrased as if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and variants thereof, is Abraham Maslow's The Psychology of Science, right? It says, then this, like I said, this is psychology, and this man Esau is all about that psychology, man. Right, that's how he's been able to manipulate the people in the way that he has. Right, I went to the shops because in London we're allowed to go to the shops and do one exercise a day, in England rather, right? So I was going outside, and people are legit walking into the road because they want to be 2 meters away, this, that, and the other, right? And if you're not 2 meters behind them, then they're looking at you like, why are you two, oh, whatever, what have you. But these times at the shops, you're using the same handles, right? As in same shopping baskets, right? You're using the same keypad to type in, you're touching the same products, right? So it's all bullshit, man. It's all a ploy. Esau basically playing on the minds of the people, right? Now, to prove that Esau is the hammer, this is Jeremiah 50 and 23. It says, how was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder, right, and broken? How was Babylon become a desolation among the nations, right? So Esau referred to as the hammer of the whole earth. For instance, you look at all over all over the world. What does man go around and do? He goes around, drops bombs on people, right? In the name of giving them democracy, right? The thing is, you're not giving them exactly. If you're giving someone democracy, they're not choosing democracy. You're giving it to them, right? You're saying this is the way it should be, right? Because people who don't want democracy end up having a problem with you, right? So you force it upon the people, right? So it is the hammer of the whole earth, right? Scriptures talk about in Habakkuk 2, right, that neither keepeth at home. Right, and that is Esau, the so-called white man. Once again, you got, for instance, America has got bases all around the world in countries where they're even allies, man. Right. So yeah, that's this. I said I was just proving that this man is the hammer, right? And says, so what is his hammer? What's Esau's hammer, right? So Revelation 6:4 says, and there went out another horse that was red, right, representing Esau. Says, and what do you call it? And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, right? You read for instance, Maccabees. Right? Maccabees 1 talks about that how wickedness was multiplied, right? When you got wickedness, that's basically proliferating, basically pushing and furthering, right? A lack of peace, right? Because wickedness brings death, right? It says, and they should kill, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, right? And that goes back to his blessing. Let's see if that's in the precepts here. Genesis 25:25. Genesis 25:25. That's something else. But yeah, you know the blessing he was given. That's in 27. Let me just jump to it and read it real quick. Yeah, this is Genesis 27:30. It says, and it came to pass as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. So then Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? He says, where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. It says, and when Esau heard these words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, my father. Right? It says, and he said, thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing, which it was never Esau's blessing. You read Genesis 25. All right, it says the prophecy was the elder shall serve the younger, right? And the very fact that at this point Isaac was blind and wasn't able to see, that was all to help that happen. The fact that Jacob left his father's tent, right, as Esau was coming in, shows that these things were all meant to happen, right? So it was never yours in the first place. It was always Israel's, right? Says, and he said, thy brother came. Yeah, I read that. It says, and he said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing, which you didn't take it back birthright. You sold it, man, for a morsel of meat. You read that in Hebrews, right? It says, and he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord. Right? So the elder shall serve the younger. The very fact that Esau, when he came out of the womb, who was holding on to his hill? Jacob. Jacob was holding on to his hill, right? And that was to basically to show that Jacob would bring him down, right? So that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. You can read that in 2 Ezra 6, starting from verse 8 and then also verse 9, right? He says, behold, I made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, right? So Esau's going to serve, man. These heathen nations, all these heathen nations are ultimately going to serve Israel, right? He says, and with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, my son? When Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. Right? And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. He wailed like a bitch. Right? Says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, right, and the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, right, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck, right? So hey, that's his blessing, man. His blessing is a sword. So everything to him, he can fix with his sword, man. Right? That's his solution for everything. Right? Because he's a carnal man. Right? In fact, you gotta read Habakkuk 2. Let's Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yeah, it says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. Wine is representing philosophies. Right? He is a proud man. Oh my, is there none prouder than Esau? Right? Esau sees himself and sees himself as the Most High. Right? Which is why he's rewritten the laws of biology. He's basically said, you're not a man or a woman. You can be anything you want to be, which that is completely off. Right? That is against the scriptures. All right. So it goes on to say, what am I reading? Yeah. It says, neither keepeth at home. Oh man, once again, as I was mentioned before, right? He goes around to everywhere on the face of planet Earth, right? And he's in places where he's got allies, right? It says, and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Right, so that's his metropolises and all of that. But the point there I wanted to get was is as death. Right, he goes around bringing death. That's why we read in Revelation 6 and 4. Right, to take peace from the earth. Right, it's Revelation 12 and 12. The main point, which is he's got this virus which he can't shoot a virus, right? But he's mobilizing the military and all of that sort of stuff. And you can't just stop at being like, oh well, but they're there for logistics, is that and the other. No, you got to understand the man that we're dealing with here. This is Esau, right? It says, therefore, Revelation 12 and 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, right? And how does he know he's got a short time? Because he's seeing brothers all over the world preaching this truth, week in, week out, with the apostles on down, right? Preaching, doing the work, preaching the truth, right? So that the chosen of Israel can wake up. You read that in Ezekiel 37, the chapter about the value of the dry bones, right? And that's talking about Israel waking up from their dead state, right? Proverbs 21:16, right? He that walketh out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So when you got Israelites now calling themselves Christians, Muslims, or atheists, or whatever, if they don't believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, they're in a dead state. Right, but what Esau is seeing and observing, the elites of Esau, I'm reading the elites of all these nations, right? They're observing the children of Israel raising up, right? Starting to wake up, right? Brothers all over the world, man. Just the other day I was doing a stream and got a comment from a brother in Italy, man, GMS Italia. Man, you're like, oh shit, bro, there's a brother out there teaching the word, right? So yeah, he knows he's got a short time. And let me get this as well real quick. It says Job 14 and 5. Right, it says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Right, so there is a day, there is a moment, right, when this man's kingdom is going to fall and the kingdom of Israel is going to be raised up. Right, it says Daniel 7:18. Right, says, but the saints, or who are the saints? Right, the saints are the Israelites. In fact, there's some precepts in here. Psalms 50 and 5 and Psalms 148 and 14. Right, it says, shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom even forever and ever. So it's going to be a hostile takeover, right? But who's going to what do you call it? Who's going to not fund it? Who's gonna be the power behind it? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? Because scripture says Jacob thou worm. Right, we're defenseless against this man. This man can destroy everyone. He's got the power to destroy everyone. You see his nukes, whether it's the Russian nukes, because they're Edomites as well. What, the Satan 2, right? That's the NATO designation. So basically, you get missiles where Russia will give it a name, but then NATO will give it a name as well for the same missile. Right, so the NATO has for instance, so let's say, Russia will call it Ferrari, but then NATO will call it Lamborghini, but it's the same car. It's basically that sort of thing, right? But yeah, he was saying too, man, that shit can what do you call that one missile can take out France, Texas, right? One of them, right? If it's basically it's when it drops, because it's got multiple warheads, and when it drops, it's how those warheads are distributed. Well, it can take out the whole nation of France, Why do you need that much firepower? Once again, right, we'll go to the saying, right? I suppose it is tempting if the only tool you have is a hammer to treat everything as if it were a nail, right? Law of the instrument, right? All right, seems like that's all I got. But hey, as always, hey, scripture says, watch and pray, observe what's going on, right? Pray to the Most High that you can, look at things that we should pray to the Most High so that we can look at things with a spiritual eye, not let Satan get us. Because look, man, we're in the final days, man. We're in the final days. All of us, we need to pray that there ain't no demons jumping on us, over stupid things, man, right? Over stupid things. Scriptures talk about continue down the things that thou hast learned, right? So we gotta continue and maintain in these things, right? So hey, as always, Lord's will was edified. Into the next time. Shalom.